Professor Austin here again. After teaching anatomy and physiology for many years, I've learned that success isn't just about how much you study, it's about how you study. I've shared my playbook with the explainer, and she's going to tell you what successful A&P students do differently.
All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Welcome to this explainer. Today, I'm officially putting on my professor hat to help you tackle what is honestly a monumental challenge. We're going to talk about surviving and actually thriving in anatomy and physiology. It's a beast of a class, but we've got a game plan. Let's get to it. Right out of the gate, we've got to acknowledge a fundamental truth here. A&P is incredibly demanding. There's no getting around it. You are going to spend a massive amount of time on this class every single week, all semester long. And yeah, I know that feels overwhelming. But look, if you're going to spend those hours anyway, how should you actually be spending them? Because just sitting at your desk pouring exhausted hours into a textbook, that does not automatically guarantee a good grade. Time served absolutely does not equal knowledge gained. Think about the number 20. 20 hours of studying for a single exam. As a professor, I have seen two completely different students each spend 20 hours preparing for the exact same test. One of them walks out of the exam room feeling completely defeated and sadly ends up failing. The other student, who put in the exact same amount of time, absolutely crushes it. And you know what? The difference between these two students is almost never their raw intelligence. It is entirely in their methodology, which perfectly illustrates the single biggest illusion in college studying, confusing passive exposure with actual retrievable learning. Passive exposure is what most of us default to, right? Because it feels highly productive. You watch the lecture videos, you reread the chapters, you stare at these beautiful, detailed anatomical diagrams and nod along thinking, yep, I got this. But true learning doesn't happen when information goes into your eyes. It happens when you force your brain to retrieve that information from the inside out. So what does true learning actually look like? Well, it's called active recall. By definition, active recall is the process of forcing your brain to pull information out of your memory completely on your own, without looking at the answer, without glancing at your source material. This is the magic moment. It's the exact second you close that heavy textbook, step away from your beautifully highlighted notes, and actually test yourself. That is when genuine learning and deep memory formation really begin. Now, I know active recall can sound like fancy academic jargon, but honestly, these are super practical daily tools. You can literally just open a blank page and write down a chapter's core ideas entirely from memory. Print a blank diagram of the skeletal system and label the structures without checking your key. Draw out physiological processes from scratch. Explain the sliding filament theory out loud in your own words, or better yet, teach that difficult concept to your completely confused roommate. Every single time you retrieve information without checking the answer first, you are physically building a stronger memory in your brain. Let's be totally honest though, trying to draw a complex physiological diagram from memory, it's going to feel incredibly difficult at first. It will be frustrating. You will get stuck. But remember this core philosophy. The struggle tells you what you actually know versus what you only think you know. That friction, that's not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you are genuinely learning. It is absolutely your best diagnostic tool to spot the dangerous gap between deeply rooted knowledge and just, well, surface-level recognition. And adopting this active approach completely dismantles a tradition as old as college itself, the cramming myth. You know the scene. It's midnight, you're exhausted, surrounded by empty coffee cups, trying to shove a massive volume of information into a tired brain the night before the exam. While you might survive that approach in a basic intro class, it simply will not work for the vast, detailed world of A&P. The sheer volume is just way too much to absorb overnight. The far superior alternative is spaced repetition. Here's the deal. Your brain retains significantly more information when you revisit material repeatedly over time, rather than trying to force everything into one exhausted, panicked sitting. It looks like this. Study today's material today. Cool. Then, on day 2, take just a little time to review yesterday's concepts. Fast forward to week 2, and you intentionally revisit that material again. By the time exam week actually arrives, you aren't desperately trying to learn something for the first time. You are simply doing a final, calm review of deeply strengthened memories. Now, to fit this into your daily life without completely burning out, you need to use focused study blocks. First, work with total, unbroken concentration for 25 to 30 minutes. No phone, no social media, no multitasking. Second, stop. Take a short, purposeful break completely away from your desk. Stand up, walk around, grab some water. Finally, return refreshed and repeat the whole process. You know, human concentration has hard biological limits. You will learn far more in 4 short, highly focused blocks than you ever could in a 3-hour distracted marathon. But look, even with the absolute best study techniques in the world, there is a very real emotional component to this course. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the endless wave of new material? Let me tell you, that is completely normal. Every single week there's another chapter, another dense lab, another assignment, and always another exam looming on the horizon. It is so incredibly easy to feel like you are perpetually falling behind, just desperately trying to keep your head above water as this relentless wave of anatomical terminology crashes over you. When that panic hits, and it will, here is the absolute best thing you can do. Focus entirely on the step right in front of you. Truly successful students do not try to master the entire semester all at once. Stop panicking about next week's terrifying exam on the nervous system. Instead, direct all of your focus and energy to the specific material you're supposed to be learning right now. Learn today's material today. Let tomorrow's worries wait until tomorrow. But what happens when today's material feels completely impossible to grasp? Remember that in A&P, concepts constantly connect and build upon each other. When you hit a wall, the problem usually isn't the new topic. It's almost always a foundation that wasn't fully understood the first time around. Don't panic. Actually, scratch that. Just go backward. Spend 10 minutes reviewing those earlier foundational concepts. You'll be amazed at how a stronger framework suddenly makes the challenging new material significantly easier to digest. The solution isn't to fight the new material. It's to strengthen what supports it. As we start to wrap this up, we really need to talk about the type of student who actually survives and thrives in this course. We all have this image of the perfect student, right? Someone with flawless, color-coded schedules, boundless motivation, a life that never gets messy. Well, in all my years teaching, I can tell you for a fact, perfect students are a myth. The ones who actually succeed are the consistent students. They aren't always the smartest people in the room. They are simply the ones who show up regardless of how motivated they feel, who make adjustments when their methods aren't working, and who just keep moving forward. That level of consistency, that's what builds true resilience. And true resilience means not letting one disappointing quiz or one genuinely bad exam convince you that you cannot succeed, because you will likely face setbacks in a course this demanding. It happens to almost everyone. When it does, feel the disappointment, but then adapt. Adjust your methods using active recall and spaced repetition, and step right back into the arena. Showing up and doing the work week after week is something entirely within your control. You don't need a perfect life, you just need to keep going. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Will you choose the comfort of passive exposure, or are you ready to embrace the struggle, show up consistently, and truly learn? You've got the playbook now. You know the exact strategies that separate the exhausted crammers from the consistent achievers. Trust the process of active recall, give yourself some grace along the way, and take total control of your own success. See you next time.